on YouTube to watch the.
Oh yeah, go to our channel. It'll just pop up. It's DeFi round 2.
Well, we should tell them like.
Oh, are you still in that chat? Yeah, can you tell them? I left that chat to reset the link. Oh, but I guess I could share with you.
Yeah.
That link. Where am I going to do that? I'm going to send it to you on Slack. All right. Flip that over for them. Slack.
Yeah, get it. Slack.
We're back. We are back. Hey, guys. Yeah. I don't even know what to say anymore. Same old story. Not great. Not great. Apparently servers are messed up in Canada today. Countrywide epidemic of internet. I hadn't noticed it all day, so they saved it up for the live stream. Hardlined though, man. There's not even, it's not even like a Wi-Fi issue. So
Hold on. Is the new stream
gigabit connection too. It's not even like that dusty rural connection that most of Canada has. City boy energy.
DeFi round 2. Yeah,
DeFi round 2.
Let me get this tweeted out.
Okay.
For everybody listening, huge apologies. Sorry about that.
Yeah, apologize, guys. If I was an internet guy, we could blame me, but I'm just an analyst. Nice to have you back, though. Welcome back to the stream, guys. We are going to let it populate a little before we get right back into it. Yeah, that's a good question, T-Head. I wonder if it is the same time. If it is, that would be hilarious. We're just going to have to move the stream. He says, did your router reset at the same time every day? I do get these. Suddenly in the last 2 weeks, I've been getting these weird, like, blips. One thing that never, ever was the case. You go to Windows, you go troubleshooting your internet, and it would just never do anything. There's actually, Windows has a thing now, and you click it, and it goes through this stuff, and it resets some little adapters, and then it comes back. I didn't have to do that today, but yeah, we're back, guys. If we were an hour and a half in, maybe we just go to sleep. But we're just getting started, baby.
You know what? You know what's so great about this little Bitcoin run? It literally did not give many opportunities to get in. Like waiting for that dip that we always get. We always get dips. I mean,
well, we will.
Yes,
but not right away. This is a spring.
We will. We will get a chance, but this did not give many people the opportunity in the last this last little bit to get in. So you better believe it'll come.
It will come, but it'll come when you're done waiting for it, usually. Right?
Guys, people are still bearish, like on Bitcoin. Like when on that first little green impulse, from the low 40s, like you got these like, look, I don't know if it's an act or what, but there's these like ridiculous perma bears on Twitter that just like every fucking thing Bitcoin does, like they're just bearish about it.
They don't change their thesis based on new information. It drives me crazy.
They don't change their thesis. They're constantly bear posting. I mean, it's honestly just getting fucking embarrassing and sad for them. It's like I'm sure you're miserable, because holy fuck, how couldn't you be? What I was saying earlier is, the Bitcoin happening, it happens, right? And maybe Bitcoin sells off or nothing happens, and then maybe 6 months down the road, maybe 3 months down the road, here comes the God candle, right? The supply shock in action. I don't think that we've seen the supply shock God candle yet from Ethereum. I think it's coming. That's a whole lot of fucking Ethereum that is essentially just removed from circulation.
$1.5 billion in what, 2 months now? This has been live, maybe?
Yeah, $1.5 billion in like 2 months that would have been supply on the market.
Yeah.
So this shit is gonna fuck. Look, that's why Try Crypto 2 is literally such a fucking awesome product. You get Bitcoin exposure, you get Ethereum exposure,
slightly muted,
and you can farm with it. And the farm APYs are pretty good, for what it is. It's really, really hard to get good APY on Bitcoin, dollars, and ETH. It just is. So, like something like that, like you don't have to worry about the fucking rotation. You know, like if Bitcoin goes to the fucking moon, like ETH's going to tag along a little bit too. Then ETH has its God candle moment. It's not like, you know, Bitcoin's going to be just dumping horrifically if Ethereum is just blasting the fuck off. Like, that's not how it works. These things are typically pretty correlated. So,
well, I'll tell you what, Brendan in the chat, he wrote something that I've been thinking, and that's, if we get the Bitcoin ETF that is based on the futures contracts, does that mean that ETH is logically next? And I do think it does. I think
my God, man.
Makes it very, very logical and reasonable to assume that a futures-based Ethereum ETF would be next.
I've already heard buzz of that, right? I mean, there's been some applications, has there not?
Yeah. I mean, bottom line is if the Bitcoin futures contract's good enough, then why wouldn't an ETH ETF based on, you know?
Well, because everyone involved in creating those makes money, right? Like the exchanges want them. Yeah. Presumably the CBOE, whoever that's going to trade them, like they're like, yeah, let's make money off of this. Yeah. So people are, you know, you can kind of predict that they'll be drawn to that. I have a question for you, Rob. I've been thinking about it all week. I decided I'm going to save it for the on-air show today. If you could, like I'm a 5-year-old, walk me through what the difference is and what's significant about a futures-based ETF versus a spot or physical-backed ETF. Because there seems to be like preference for the physical one. It's more bullish, but we're getting the light version, the futures one. Is that? Put some color on that.
It all has to do with regulation, because the CME futures are regulated. It makes the SEC more comfortable with approving an ETF based on that futures contract. That CME futures contract is basically under the umbrella of the CFTC and FINRA and everything else about regulated derivatives. The world that I came from, I traded at the CME. I was a market maker, and it's a very it's very structured. It's all regulated by these government entities, and so it makes them feel more comfortable. I mean, if you think about the Bitcoin spot market, right? Like they don't feel as comfortable. None of them are technically, regulated like Coinbase. It is, but it isn't. It's not regulated. So for them, the futures one, I think, is the only one that right now they can approve. But in the end, the liquidity providers on these cash settled futures, believe me, they're going to be hedging. If they're selling futures, they are going to be hedging with spot. They're going to be hedging with futures elsewhere.
So they'll become deeper participants just by hosting this one set of futures or ETFs.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to drive way more volume to the CME futures product. And bottom line, it's just not the same thing as like a physically backed ETF. If you really need to have 1-for-1 Bitcoin in some custodial wallet that represents every share or ETF, like that's very powerful, because then you can't get into any of these shenanigans like we see in silver and gold, where people say like, oh, JP Morgan, they're kind of, they're manipulating the market. There's more paper gold and silver out there that if you had to deliver on all this stuff physically, you couldn't, which, people are always talking about when it comes to silver and gold. But, if there was a physically backed Bitcoin ETF and you had to have 1-for-1 Bitcoin in there, that's sexier to me. But
yeah, I mean, presumably if they prove that it works with the futures ones and everything's running smoothly and they can offset some of those concerns that they've been citing, if that's really why they're rejecting them previously about market manipulation and all this faked volume and bullshit. Presumably we're moving closer towards that. And like I said, I just feel like a lot of people stand to gain from the implementation of something like that. So presumably it'll happen, in my mind. Now, look, the price action today looks like someone knows something. It doesn't look, there hasn't been any really breaking news. I know I'm not really one to rush to say, what happened?
How about
Sometimes
this?
it just moves up, but-
How about this? What about that news? And I don't know how significant this is. Maybe I'm just a pleb, reading articles. Very possible. But how about George Soros? I read an article about him like dumping stocks and buying crypto.
Yeah, that was confirmed.
That's a lot of fucking money.
It's a lot of money. I think the one thing that gets me so excited even more about Bitcoin is that I think everything that's playing out in global economics with this debt spiraling and with
just print that $1 trillion coin, bro.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line,
what the fuck is that?
It's going to be very difficult for these central bank currencies to keep up with a harder money. It's funny. I was at the Chicago Trading Show today, which is in the city, and I was on a panel. But one of the guys I was talking to, we were just talking about Bitcoin and obviously how bullish I am and all that. But we were talking about, imagine like we're seeing what's going on in this macroeconomic landscape and what people are going to Bitcoin because of the printing, because of like 0% interest rates, debt going out of control. But imagine, what do we think gold would be doing if there was no crypto, right? There was no Bitcoin, none of that existed. Like,
that's an interesting point. Yeah, would it be still flat after 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would probably have, let's see, there's 2 trillion that's flowed into it. I think it would have probably the better part of the $1 trillion that's flowed into Bitcoin or its cap right now. I think gold would have a lot more because I personally think, Peter Schiff and these gold maxis, because that's what they are. Like if you have your thesis that you're a believer in gold and you're going to own it. And I mean, that is like the very closely related thesis to why we own Bitcoin. I mean, I think there's some differences, but it's virtually the same thesis.
That's why I always love him and Pomp going at it, because they do it for entertainment at one point when they got on together, but they have the same theses. It's just about the fact that, how to best play that in the market. And Peter's just wrong, plain and simple. He's just, it's not even like, oh, maybe like he's wrong. Yeah. So it's painful to watch. It's kind of more entertaining, if anything. I think he's got a business, here we are talking about him. So he's riding the Bitcoin hype train just by being a hater, but it's a little painful to watch just because he's got a ton of gold bugs in his paid services that are probably just sitting there like flat after 10 years.
Yeah.
Because the price of gold, now here's what's sickening though. The price of gold in 2011 was the same, but the value of those dollars that it's valued in have gone down significantly. So you actually kind of lost value if you were long on Bitcoin or on gold since 2011. Hard to see, hard to watch. It's not preserving the, I mean, presumably to be a store of value, it can't just be on par with US dollars. It has to outpace them by more than inflation, right? Robert? Oh, dear God.
Do we rug again?
We can't. I can't go through that again.
If we rug again, we're just gonna have to.
I don't know what's gonna have to happen. I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry, bro.
Do we seriously?
Is the stream rugged? I don't think the stream is rugged.
No, I think we're good.
I just think Rob's rugged. With that, he's got that look on his face.
Looks right, spots Riley, unplugs. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, good. All right, no rug. It's just Rob's internet now. So we're cycling through. The internet bug has gone down to Chicago. I was like, maybe he's in deep thought. Okay, guys. Well, y'all heard me. I'm hating on gold. I just think I've always thought it would be really boring to invest in. I think you could trade it. I think we're at the 20-week moving average. And I think that's about
I kind of like want some gold though, just to like say I have
it. Feels cool to have a gold bar, right? Yeah, you see a couple gold bars, but then I look at this chart and I just think like, God, you know, not only were you just down against USD for 10 years, but even now you're just break even, and US dollars have just imploded in value, buying power, falling off a cliff. So it's not a store of value. That's basically where I'm at right now. It's just not. And if it was, Bitcoin is stealing that thing. Actually, I've got a fun chart here. Let's check this out. This is the value of gold compared to Bitcoin since Bitcoin was kind of
it's an ugly chart
on the scene. It's down about 99.9%. You can't, and then, you know, this is the monthly chart of Bitcoin versus gold. So we're just it's down only. And so if you know, if I had gold, I would never hold on to it. I would trade it for Bitcoin. Maybe not, you know, I'd wait for a bearish retest. Anyways, I can get Rob back. I should have taken him off here a while ago. Poor guy. Here we go. Had him there. Yeah, he's ready to go. I'm gonna get him in here. Strange things going on today. The spookiest stuff, huh? Let's get him back. Miss him already. While we're at it, while we're moving through our technical difficulties, if you haven't already and you still like us, you can like the channel, you can like the show, hit the sub button if you haven't already. I'll be back on Friday for Hero Labs Live. Might have a special guest. If you guys check out Brenna. Yeah, Brenna, I retweeted her yesterday. She's joined the Hero Labs, Hero team, head of marketing, Hero Labs. She's like an options OG, does a lot of, used to do a lot of kind of TV options reports, and she's going to be on the channel a lot more in the coming ever. And so, yeah, thought might get her today, but we're going to stick her in Gunny's spot, but I think she might join me on Friday. So if you haven't seen Brenna, Friday, I think. She just kind of like, we semi-confirmed. Oh, waiting to join. Okay, wait. Got to go pull up the Rob. Oh, dear God. Disconnect. Okay, I kicked him out. Let's get him to try again. Let's see. I hadn't kicked his last one out. So now that that's gone, yeah, Lexoifi says, I won't like this video too much because amazing knowledge and I don't want anyone to know you guys. Well, thanks, bro. Alpha dump incoming. Definitely not Brenna Sparks. A different Brenna. Oh, Jesus. You know what? I don't think we can do it. I think if we have to reset the rendezvous link. God, we're having a day today, guys. That's what we're going to do. Messi?
Yo.
I'm going to send you a new link in 12 seconds. 1 sec.
All right.
Be right back, guys. Of course I muted myself. Oh, buddy. All right. We're going to be ready in a sec here, guys. I'm just plugging in old Robbie. Now you guys get to see behind the scenes. Give you a sneak preview because we feel bad for all this ruggery. Boom. Okay, Rob is in. And now he's crispy. And we may or may not be getting Messiah back. Oh my God. Come on in, bro. Let us go, the bro. Anyways, Rob, talk to the people. I think they're probably bored of watching me troubleshoot.
Anyone follow us on Twitter? Anyone follow me on Twitter? I've been tweeting about Arweave lately. And Arweave went from 6 to midnight today. Like, it's up 20%. AR.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I'd like to get it on the Bittrex chart. A lot more history there. Let's get rid of this muck. Oh, yeah.
Is Arweave traded on Bittrex?
Oh, yeah. That's where it was before Binance listing. It's got good history there. Actually, wait. Is it traded there or is it just the USD chart? Yeah, it's not traded there. It's just weirdly that they chart it for a USD chart there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Look at this chart, though. I mean, this is what I expect. Like, if we were to zoom out and this was a monthly in 10 years, this is kind of what I think crypto is going to look like. Call me crazy. So Arweave's just doing that kind of adoption thing, right? It's like first little rally, market's a little shitty, then it's like, okay. And then as the network actually grows and the user base expands, it should just be more and more and more kind of flooding into it. But what are your thoughts on Arweave? Why do you like it so much?
I like it so much because it is literally, it's decentralized, like storage for basically for content. And, you know, I'm sitting in the Solana Labs office and dealing with some of these guys and the whole NFT space, like on Solana, they're basically uploading and storing all of this content, all of these NFTs, images, files, all getting stored on Arweave. And you know, looking at the chart of usage there, it's just literally going exponential and gangbusters. And I'm just hearing it literally every day. And then the homie Bartosz Lipinski, one of the great Solana developers, he you know, he's a big fan of Sam, who's the founder of Arweave, and he's a really great technical, and I keep hearing really great things about it. So you know, it's funny, yesterday some guy that I've been following for years on Twitter, more from traditional markets, he tweeted about it, and I was like, shit, like people are starting to see the light and sniff this thing out. And I kind of quote tweeted him yesterday and was just like, I agree, bro. And you know, it's just luck that it's up like this today, but I do think that space it's going to generate a lot of value. So it's the pick and shovel play for NFTs right now, you know, like,
yeah, that's the vibe that I'm getting based on what you just described.
Yeah, it's picks and shovels, baby. So I don't know. I like it. I mean, listen, I don't encourage anyone to buy something that's up 20% in a day.
No.
Like, this thing is whippy. You just wait for this thing to settle down. But if the metrics continue to go, you know, from the bottom left corner to the upper right with respect to, like, I think just pure usage and storage and all that, I think Arweave is going to have a good run, and you really can't get it anywhere either right now. So, and
it's not very liquid. You can't get a whole lot of it at a certain price point.
Yeah.
If you want to buy $50,000 worth of this thing, you've got to send it if you want, unless you, like, you know, buy it on the down days. I mean, Just 3 weeks ago, people were selling it. Oh wait, that's July 19th. God. Okay, so just about 2 or 3 months ago, people were selling it down at $10. There's going to be dips at some level from some point. The chaos likes it. Chaos likes it up here. I think I might take off that GAN fan. Doesn't look too relevant here. Oh wait. Okay, so on the log chart, there's this kind of trend line resistance that we just tagged into. So blasting through that would take it to a whole other echelon of acceleration. So that's one thing to watch. You know, I know you and Dan love these moving averages. I have them on my chart because of you, the 12 and 26. I think, you know, in a strong bull, adding little bits on things like that. I mean, we just tagged it this morning at 43. So there's ways to get into things without buying in. I actually did load up because of all the talk you were doing at about 12, and I think I sold it at like, I don't know, 25, 26. Didn't do my sell half and a double. That's why I should do sell half and a double, because then I'd still have half my position right now. I just sold the whole thing. I took the win. Felt good. Now it feels bad.
I mean, you're never gonna go hungry taking a 100% gainer.
No, that's what I was telling myself. Speaking of 100% gainer, somebody asked about targets on ICE. You know, I don't like to give like, okay, everyone line your orders up here, because if it is my target, then I don't even get to make it to my target because everyone front runs it. But I'll tell you my view on ICE. My perspective on ICE is, yeah, I actually did go look yesterday. Had an incredible day portfolio-wise, obviously because of the things I'm positioned in, like ICE, spell, time, like everything just seemed to be moving on one day. And I, you know, I was like, man, should I be like taking a little off here? Should I be paying myself today? And then I looked at this chart and I looked at this volume. And this to me is a breakout into a much broader trend. And you have Popsicle Finance. They did suffer a hack. They, you know, basically repaid everyone. And so it's this perfect situation where you had this pretty dope product that became very cheap for quite a while, the token anyways, because of that situation. And from everything we know, that situation is now a thing of the past. And so maybe the market's a little behind in racing to kind of price that in. But when you think about what they do, what they're going to do, and essentially take liquidity providers can optimize their returns multi-chain. So if I put in this LP and then the protocol will move it around into the places where I get the most yield, and it will charge, you know, 3% maybe performance fee on all of those LPs that want to use it across all DEXs on all chains, or at least all the major ones, right? That's the dream. That's the big, you know, I don't think they're launching all of them at once, obviously. So that's pretty dope. That's pretty big, right? And all those performance fees just get used to buy more ICE off the market buy it, and then distribute it to stakers. So I'm going to take profits before that even goes live? That's what I asked myself when I looked in the mirror last night. I said, really, bro? So I'm going to kind of diamond hand this one for a little while. And this is why. This is kind of like the low to the high, huge, long consolidation. I think we can get into some chaos later this year, maybe early next year. And I want to be here for it, full swing. So those are my thoughts. Doesn't mean I'm going to rush to sell at 40. Doesn't mean it'll ever get to 40. It's just, you know, this is how I'm looking at it. Excited about the ICE.
Very nice.
I'm not in this one.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't get the shout, RT. You didn't tell me about this one. Look, man, there will be dips, and I think this one has lots of staying power. So I'll give you a heads up if I ever see another level that maybe you should consider DCAing. But yeah, I feel bad. Anytime I'm in something that's doing well and Rob is not, I feel responsible.
No, dude, it's all.
It's all kidding.
Good, man.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll trade you some Arweave for some ICE. We could do a little side swap, give each other some nice exposure. So AVAX broke down today on the trend. I did, you know, move a little bit out of AVAX as I talked about on Twitter, and my view was that it would be midterm, not great. But today officially, this trend master that I kind of told myself I would follow is stopped out. So I did actually have to.
So it stopped out.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's like over, dead, gone. It just the way this works is basically there's a green breakout candle, and then if the next candle trades above the wick of that green breakout candle, like right here, that triggers like an entry. And then you basically just ride the trend, like from here. So that triggered here. You ride the trend, and then these little Williams fractals get printed every once in a while. It's basically like a down, up of candles, and that sets a stop loss. That green bar is kind of like, okay, here's your trailing stop. So it stopped out here, new trend, stopped out here. Mm-hmm. Now this is not like tried, tested, proven, like OMG, this thing, but it's the way I decided I'm going to trade this bag this time. And so the last of it, I traded some of it my own way, but the last of it I did stop out. So I have a little bit of AVAX left. But
look at what happened to the last pink bar.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nothing's perfect, right? But here's a trade, right? Like based on this system, which again, I'm not even like here to sell it. It's trendmaster.io. I should give them a shout out because I like to use their tool. But I don't trade on their system typically. In this case, I decided I would ride these William fractals up. So I use it kind of as part of a broader tool set of mine. But technically, this got people long that follow it religiously at about $13, and then they sold at 38. So if you get a strong trend, this thing's really cool. And I figured that's what AVAX is in. I bet on the weekly it is still in the uptrend. So what, are you going to trade the weekly? Right? You might catch a longer trend. It'll be less exciting. The 4 hour obviously gets chopped a lot. Ding dong ding dong dong. So yeah. But look, here's my view on AVAX. And I know, it's a lot of disappointment. Look, the reason buy the rumor, sell the news happens is because once the rumor comes out, people just get over exuberant about it. They say, right? Like AVAX rush, put it on the map, massive amounts of money coming in. Price is going to go crazy. But what a lot of people don't realize is like, yeah, price did go crazy. Cool. Done. And then the actual thing comes out and they say like, oh, wait, but there's no more buyers left at that exact moment. There's more sellers though, because they've all been, a lot of them are up money, or a lot of them were taking big risk near the highs and now have to dump it because they're just overexposed, and you get the shakeout. So that's kind of what's happening now. And it sucks. I suspected we were going to see sell the news over the last couple of weeks. I wasn't too sure. And then at this kind of trend line breakdown retest, I was like, sucks, but I'd rather buy it cheaper. So
yeah, I think you're spot on with that, and I think that entry is fantastic. Really the thing with Avalanche Rush, and we beat the shit out of these Avalabs guys about this. They know. Like my original concern was like they were just going to be too fucking stubborn. They weren't going to make any adjustments. The program being delayed isn't so much of a big deal, although the issue we're seeing now is kind of like a natural rotation out of L1s, out of altcoins into Bitcoin, so we are having to compete with that. But, this Avalanche Rush thing was supposed to happen for 6 weeks, right? And it finally went live, and people were joking that, hey, well, the yield is like worse than Ethereum, in a lot of places. Like, what the fuck's up with that? It makes no sense.
The Aave announcement really fell flat. They were like, hey, we're live on AVAX. And then they showed a screen cap of like 0.1% return.
Yeah, like,
I was like, oh, come on. Where's the rush? Like, it was a marketing bloop for sure.
They could be better. They can be
but,
better.
and I see people blaming that, and I get it. And you want to look for a reason. But it's just market dynamics. You can't go up only. I know we like to say things like that, and zooming out on a monthly, maybe in AVAX in a year, you'll be like, yeah, up only. But it won September, hands down. I mean, the market was bearish in September. Look what it did. It just went boop, boop, boop. Like from the lows, it was 147% return on a big coin through a bearish month. You can't just go straight up from that. I think it's time for the fear and the greed cycle to happen over here, and we saw it with Solana. We saw it with Sol, right? In a huge rally. Nothing's perfect. Can't go on forever. Smacked Chaos PRZ. Time to cool off. Time to reset. Time to get rid of everybody who's either in enough profit or at enough loss that they just want to sell. Sellers run out. Buyers step back in. Continue. Like, it's just how markets work.
I'm looking at the pump chaser zone.
Yeah, so you can, yeah, PCC. You can, we can blame whoever we want. I just think that there was enough people made enough money, and having talked to a lot of people who were pretty long on AVAX, they all finally just kicked the bucket. I was here for the hype. I was here for the rush. It's clearly not going to deliver, so I need out. And until they're all out, we don't get to go up.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, that's not a top. Look at that. Doesn't look like a top.
No,
I've never seen it. I mean,
No,
two
and
impulse
you know
tops.
what, though?
No, that's the thing. It's not a top. It's just like a local,
It's just
it's
not a
cool down.
blow off top. I mean, look, all this top and bottom shit. Remember the last Bitcoin top that didn't look like a top?
We've never. But
Maybe
here's the
that's
thing,
just
Rob.
where we're at now.
It wasn't a top, Rob. That's the take on Bitcoin.
There's no second best top. There's no top.
There's no second best top. Look, people say, Bitcoin's never topped like this. I kind of agree, because you know what? It just doesn't look like the top. It was the top of something. It was a midterm pivot.
It was the top of all leveraged traders' fucking P&Ls for a while.
It was definitely the top of that. But like, if we're up here later this year, right, then it's like people look back and say, "See, I told you that's not how tops look." It's. I agree though. It's like all top bottom. Like, who cares? But
local tops, baby.
Yeah,
we're local. I mean, long distance top. Hell no. This thing's got. We're gonna see $1 million Bitcoin.
Heard it here first, folks. First time anyone's made that kind of bold prediction. I agree with you, though. I think the cat's out of the bag, and so it's a matter of stomach, right? It's a matter of like, I don't like holding through this down to here. I'd rather trade that. I'd like to spot this short reload zone. I'd like to get a trade off. I'd like to cut. I'd like to trade this stuff. That's why I spent years learning how to trade. I think a lot of people that just hodlers win in the end. Well, you're probably right. Time spent versus returns. I think they're right. This hurts me too much. I'm not a hodler. Call me lettuce hands. We'll see you at the.
I wish one day we're gonna have we're gonna have producers galore, statisticians. We'd get a clip of Messi during that day calling for like 24,000, 27,000. Messi pushing lower when we were hovering around 30,000.
Yeah.
I mean, people were calling. A lot of people thought that was like kind of sayonara. I mean, what do you think?
That was the emotion, right? We got beat down, a few times, recovered, and it just grinds you mentally. And then it's just like this, and it's like, oh my God, here we go, and then you don't get it.
Yeah.
It was pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie, it was tricky. I know you stayed generally bullish. You've got a longer term thesis and you've got a longer term view. I definitely tried to long it a couple times, and so then I lost my willpower near the bottom, and then ended up longing it back up here a bit. But it is what it is. It's way better than I've ever played a dip before, and that's all I need to be, right? A little better each time, because actually through this, what I was doing was buying Solana bags, which turned out to be the ticket. Things like Oxy. I don't know. We have to go through all that, but yeah, like it's just kind of depressed. I was like, I'm just going to go buy some little shitty bags of little Solana plays. I had no idea we're going to have Solana summer, but I thought I'd better just buy the depression. So that's the first time I've ever really gone to work buying in a nasty emotional part of the market, which is,
Yeah.
So you taught me that, Rob. Came out of your book.
Well, the hardest part is basically you gotta try to, we always say, play from a position of strength, but having dry powder to put to work when things really feel really nasty, that's the best, usually the best time to get to work. And I mean, even looking at the fear and greed meter, right? Like when it's below 20 and above 80, it's like,
I love that thing. I've kind of fallen in love with that thing this year. And even though in September, like just recently, I didn't actually trade it as aggressively. I really did think we had that one more leg down, or at least I was prepared to wait for it. But did mention a few times, the idea of just picking up this kind of extreme fear last week makes sense. I was adding to ICE and Spell and some other more like higher conviction, longer term plays pretty aggressively. But as far as like Bitcoin and that, I didn't deploy nearly as much as I might have had I been more, perhaps had better conviction in this type of play. Because all I think is like, well, yeah, extreme fear, but that can last for a while. Through 2018, 2019, the fear was there fairly significantly. In fact, we can chart that. So here's 2020. Actually, never mind. It only goes back to February 2018. But like this is November to December. Like, it can sit down in deep, deep fear for over a month. So we were only there for about 2 days. I wasn't sure, But the thing is, you don't really have to be sure of anything. And that's where dollar cost averaging comes in. That's probably the best shout to dollar cost averaging, is that when you're not sure, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Buy a little, sell a tiny bit. Like you don't have to go all in, all out to make it, so to speak. Yep. You just want to be kind of working your way into positions during fear and working your way out of them during greed. Now, if you don't bring a lot of dry powder to the party because you didn't take some off during the greed that was sort of end of August, start of September, then it's really hard to take that dry powder you have left, which you're just suddenly clinging to. Well, at least I have that. It's really hard to deploy that. So, if you're first year, second year in the market and you're just trying to learn this stuff, don't be too hard on yourself. It takes years. I'm in year 4 and I'm just starting to wrap my head around it. Like understanding it, sure. Doing it, whole other ballgame.
You are, you have grown so much over the past year.
Oh, yeah?
Here we go.
Let's look at Joe. What the hell happened to Joe? Who rugged Joe?
I know who rugged Joe.
I know all the Joe ruggers. I watched their wallets sell last night.
It's Alameda.
This thing. Okay. Talk to us. Like, did you look in their wallet? Is that official?
Yeah, they bailed out like 2 or 3 days ago. Alameda bailing, everybody was having the whole, oh, that's bullish. Alameda.
No more farm dump. Yeah.
When Alameda bailed, though, I canned the rest of mine. And I'm glad I did, because the last time I faded Sam was, when I was bearish at the bottom and when you guys were bullish on Bitcoin. And I was like, okay, well, if Alameda's bailing out, they're obviously going to farm with the momentum and they're going to do that. So I was just kind of of the mindset that like, hey, if they're bailing, it's probably not a good idea to fade Sam again. And, I'm going to go ahead and bail too and finish my rotation of Bitcoin. And that ended up like being spot on, like,
yeah.
Hey, look, Alameda bailing out of your farm is not bullish. It means the farm is farmed. There's no more scraps left.
Or the edge is out, or they just see something. They just found out information about Bitcoin. Maybe they have tips on, they definitely get better info than everyone. So did they just want to get balls long on Bitcoin, lever up? Who knows? I'll tell you what, though, farm tokens are a particular kind of beast. Now, Joe going 100x while printing all of this new Joe into the market was very incredible to watch. It was somewhat surprising to me. But when it did go to push to new highs here, and it didn't make any real buy volume, to me that was concerning. And then when it closed this candle here, technically speaking, that was the confirmed bearish market structure ending this uptrend from a structural point of view. See, it didn't happen here, just kept trending up. You can get these along the way in an uptrend. It's just betting on probabilities. So that was not a good look. And the thing about farm tokens, when they're trending up strong, as this had been, what do you do with the Joe that you're farming? You sell half, fold it back into the pool. Sell half, fold it back into the pool. Keep LPing, keep accumulating, keep compounding. And then when that trend shifts, farm and dump, farm and dump, farm and dump, farm and dump. And so it's going to get ugly for Joe, or at least it has already. I shouldn't say like it's going to get ugly from here. It's been pretty ugly. And so question for me is like, and I still have some, by the way, probably about 90% gone. Got some out, capitulated some here, and I'm just holding the rest in a USDC pool because it's printing and it'll be what it'll be.
I actually, and it's funny because I didn't intend to do this, but I sold a very, very large stack of Joe at $4.20. In retrospect, when you look at the meme of Farmer Joe, he's always like smoking weed and like stoned and shit. Like it's hilarious that $4.20 ended up being the top. But the only reason I ended up selling such a large amount at the top was because I needed cash to buy my house. That's literally the only fucking reason. Otherwise, I would have.
You were ready to get left behind during a period of greed, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. I was, I had on the rose-colored glasses. I was ready for the moon. I honestly thought that was going to keep going up, but I really do just think Bitcoin just kind of sucked the wind out of everything else for the time being.
Yeah, I think AVAX Eco, this really, you can see it right here. As soon as this confirmed, it's just down only. And so there's people watching that trend. I think if you're farming, especially with size, you have to pay attention to like what you do with your rewards. But look, there will be a time when this will find a bottom, when the sellers will run out, when the inflation rewards shift. And what that will look like on the chart from some level, whether it's going to keep trending down, is going to be the reversal of that sort of pattern, that higher low, lower high. So fear not, Joe enthusiasts. I think if I'm looking to get back in, I'm just going to wait for the buyers to come back in, as we say, right? The buy volume to step up and some kind of breakout. And even then it's like, let's wait for that retest. I love Joe. I think it's exciting, but I'm not willing to sit in something that's trending down.
I agree. I love Joe too. Joe is very exciting. I think that chart.
Banker Joe coming soon.
Yeah, the chart that you drew is spot on. Like when I do rebuy shit in the AVAX ecosystem, because I plan on doing so, it'll be raw AVAX because I think that
you love it.
Oh yeah, I love going raw. I'm gonna go in raw on AVAX, and then I'm gonna buy some Joe. Joe is the undisputed heavyweight blue chip of the AVAX ecosystem. And I do think that Joe has some serious upside left in it. But why be bullish on Joe and just be bag holding and be fucking waiting 2-3 months, however long it takes for that brutal upside to occur? When you can come in, you can buy Joe at fucking $1, $1.15, $1.20, whatever, and just sit there and chill and farm with it and then ride it. Look, we're looking at
that fib extension. That hurts.
It's like a mini bear market playing out on a lot of these AVAX eco coins. And you can see, like, we had the initial rotation was the rotation to quality. And that rotation was 2-3 weeks ago. Now we've even got a rotation out of quality and into some things like Bitcoin and stuff like that. And also, if you look at the actual metrics for Joe, you can see under the analytics that the volume has been on a decline. And you do have a lot of volume for Joe that was coming from things like Ethereum, WBTC, stables, things like that, because Curve wasn't live yet. So I do think Curve is going to vampire a bit of that Joe volume, at least in the near term. But yeah, you can look at almost any chart for any coin in the AVAX ecosystem, and it's all just fucking smashed in.
Except for our homie.
Yeah, except for the homie Time.
The homies.
Which is crazy. Stanny actually bought some time, I heard, which is...
Dude smashed the bid harder than I've ever smashed a bid in my life.
He came in and just fucking straight aped it.
So just for clarity, because even I didn't know who that was, I had to go secretly into DMs and find out because Messi just told me I'm not going to make it. But he's the founder of Aave. Yep. And I guess his wallet is known. It's not hard to tell. He had a massive amount of Aave in it. And he aped $1.1 million into time in one candle. Here it is right here. This is the Stanny candle. And this is a swap of straight 460,000 Joe right into time. So that was exciting. And, look, nothing about this chart really looks toppy yet. It's going to have its ups and downs. Did we just have an up and now comes down? But who knows? But I'll tell you what, the volume is healthy. It's gradually growing. It's churning up. The treasury's growing. So I'm excited about this one just because it prints 40,000% APY. And it's not looking like a farm token. And, Metaverse RPG kind of stuff coming up down the road. So
I think time is sucking the liquidity out of some of the weaker offerings in the ecosystem. You know, guys are just saying, fuck, you know, I'm just going to take the L on my Joe, my Yak, on my, you know, PFI, my Snob, you know, whatever the fuck they're in.
Punt it into time for the time being.
PNG, yeah, but I'm going to take this, I'm going to drop it into time. You know, one of the really cool things about time is that, of course, a lot of people miss Olympus DAO, and Olympus DAO is cool as fuck. It's literally like the first monetary policy on a blockchain. Super cool, super gigabrain, super well designed. Now we have the same thing going on here with time, except for the fact that with time, even the plebs can participate because it's on Avalanche. It costs 8 cents to bond.
You know, and stake, like unstake, and bond. Yeah.
Hey, let me bond in, you know, fucking $20 into time. I don't have much, but I'm going to bond in $20 into time because, you know, I want to feel something. You know, that's possible. You can't fucking do that on Ethereum. You just can't. So we're not only benefiting from like, hey, like this is the, you know, the new squeeze, like this is the new, like let's get in. It's really cool. It's a dandy coin. It's doing great. But we're also, you know, capturing the benefit of this is for everybody. You know, it's not like people are priced out of it, you know, due to the actual network.
Yeah, I re-experienced the drag that is ETH DeFi the other day. Found some old Convex or CVX CRV staked on Convex on one of my old wallets that I'd been kind of thinking I'll just set and forget. And I had accrued about $600 in rewards. I was like, cool, but I'm ready to rotate this into, you know, I wanted to put it on FTX to just get some, you know, collateral up to start trading again there. And it cost me like $350 to claim that $500 reward. Wow. That took 2 months to accrue. And I just thought, no wonder nobody, like, obviously ETH DeFi is the biggest by far, but it can't survive with that. And so it's really going to come down to ETH2, how cheap, how fast, how scalable. And that could be a massive boon for Ethereum, because if they nail that, you know, ETH DeFi is the best in many ways, but it is the worst in every other way. And I'm not going to be doing it anymore. I can't think of it. After doing like AVAX DeFi now, I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. We're done Ethereum. So I did dabble though, getting out of that. I just said, fuck it. I'm going to pay the fee and never come back. As we get to the hour and a half mark, guys, let's start thinking about final thoughts. You know, what are you seeing in the market maybe going ahead this week? What are you looking for? Let's get the Bitcoin chart up. I mean, you know, I for one think that this VPVR node could hold us up here for a bit. Maybe we come in, chop here, scare everyone one last time. Who knows? Is it up only? What are you thinking, Rob? What are you looking at? What are you waiting for? What is your target?
Dear, I don't know. Buckle up. Like, we're going to see volatility. I think personally, Bitcoin is obviously quite sexy right now. I think Bitcoin has the imagination of some more traditional investment managers that, you know, are finally kind of throwing in the towel and saying, I need exposure. I need to hedge my fiat exposure pretty much. They're watching what's going on in you know, the U.S. government with this debt ceiling stuff, with the Fed, with China, pretty much everywhere. You're watching like commodity prices, natural gas prices in Europe are through the
I saw something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're up here. I mean, the bottom line is this current regime that we're in, like macroeconomically, doesn't tell me that it's bearish Bitcoin. And I mean, I think I say we like we're the team. Well, we are the team, but we've withstood a tremendous amount of negative headlines and pure, you know, I don't usually use the word FUD, but like pure FUD for a stretch here. A lot from China with the mining. We've seen Bitcoin hash rate bounce back like dramatically. I think that was in the end a long-term bullish event. We're catching fire from Gensler, and then basically he turns pretty like favorable on this futures backed ETF, which really started this last leg higher. Everything around us macro wise, it's not making me feel less comfortable owning Bitcoin. It's actually making me want to own more. And I think we're seeing a lot of people who already own it and who don't own it, they're getting in now, and they see it. I mean, listen, if this thing goes to 200,000, 300,000, whatever it doesn't really matter if you get in at 50,000 or 40,000 or 35,000 if you're someone who's hedging a big book. So I mean, we'll see. The best part about this market for me is still the interplay between Bitcoin and then altcoins. And we've talked about kind of the decoupling or how back in the day we traded all of these altcoins in Bitcoin terms, right? You'd have to buy Bitcoin, then you'd be swapping in and out of Bitcoin, and you'd be looking at just the Bitcoin pair. And that's kind of changed. A lot more of this trade is in, stable coin terms and USD terms. So we're still seeing it today. Like,
it's maturing.
Yeah.
More.
Today, Bitcoin sucked the air out of the rest of the market, but there's some performers. I mean, there's some stuff that's still getting money flow. One thing I will say is I would watch for the big vocal Avalanche supporters like Three Arrows and some of these other people. Look to see where that money might flow. I think Polkadot has a big catalyst coming up. I think we're going to start to see a lot of people talking about Polkadot more on Twitter. We can see Polkadot's having a good day as an L1 day.
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't doubt if we're seeing some rotation there. I think there's been some really interesting price action in Tezos lately. No one's talking about it, but
just Ledger. Ledger's my buddy he's got some Tezos.
Yeah, Jeebus too. Jeebus is he's a Tezos guy. Like Tezos.
That's a sick throwback on Tezos actually today. Yeah, I like that. Like, hey, new all-time highs, buy the retest. Like, that's an interesting trade right there this morning.
Really strong action in Tezos. I think.
And you can see the volume.
10%.
Volume's really loving Tezos right now as far as like trends go. Like, this speaks to a broader breakout. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, bottom line, like, there's going to be a lot of kind of uncorrelated activity in L1s and in other alts. And I think that there's going to be some opportunities to take some money out of the market.
Yeah, and this is really what I've been kind of wishing for years. It used to drive me nuts, especially 2018, 2019, when the market had no real sense of direction, certainly not bullish. And it had periods. And I just found that all the USD pairs just moved together, right? It was like, oh, Bitcoin's up, ETH's up, everything's up. Everything's down, everything's up. And it was very hard to find an edge. I was like, well, why not just be long the most liquid thing or whatever? And now we are seeing that separation. I mean, every name you just mentioned is breaking to new highs or just retesting off new highs, or in this case, breaking up out of the PCZ. Whereas there's just a ton of coins, particularly this Solana ecosystem I noticed today, just not loving life. This is like my Solana list.
Yikes.
It's pure red, except for Arweave, which is kind of in the Solana list, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I wanted, right? I wanted to be able to spot the edge, to hunt the alpha, to be on the right side of something that's moving independently of this broader kind of everything moves together. So we are getting into a more mature, robust market, and liquidity is a big part of that, but use case, my God. I mean, Phantom today, I spent half the morning listening to people talk about some of the yields they're finding over there and how incredible those are. So yeah, I now need Phantom token, which was not the case last year, right? If I was looking at FTM, nobody needed it back here. They were just speculating that someday somebody would. Well, it's happening, and you need it if you want to go play in that farm. So it's a very exciting time in crypto, having spent years now listening to all these, well, we're going to be the next faster Ethereum. Well, now we can go use them. So
Yeah, don't be a chain maximalist. Be an opportunity maximalist.
Do you have that image? I saw it this morning, and maybe we should end with that. It was the multi-chain war?
Oh, the multi-chain or
I had a good laugh.
You got to be an opportunity maximalist, guys. Just in terms of Bitcoin, I do think it's going to be up only. Like it's the classic situation of, oh, I'll wait to buy the dip, right? And that dip just never fucking comes. I do think, of course, you may have an entry opportunity, but I do think it's also going to be a pretty straight shot to, I'm going to say 60K. And then at 60K, if you're feeling like de-risking a little bit, I think that that could be the move. Maybe de-risk a bit. Prepare yourself to buy a dip. I do plan on doing that, but I'm not going to be fully de-risking from it. I want to keep exposure. It's just about being a rotator and protecting my downside here and realizing those gains. Locking in that upside.
Yeah. Okay, my final thoughts today. This is just a funny little thing that popped up on my screen this morning. I laughed out loud a bit, so I'm going to share it with all of you. The multi-chain or, spreading out so thin on every single chain. Maxi's not going to make it. Can't afford gas because he's spread too thin. Like, I don't know, it's pretty funny. So I just can't get enough of the internet. Now, look, my final thoughts. Going to go back to ICE because it's kind of where I came up with this thinking. Because again, last night I had my finger on the trigger, tempted to take a little off tempted to take a little off because that's who I am. I'm a lettuce-handed trader who just wants to capture gains. Having picked up in the 3s, 5s, 7s, and 8s, I was like, oh, what do I do? Well, I'm going to hold because when I look back on cycles and when I look back on big rallies, almost every single time, fail none, the last high comes on exhausted volume. And that's just not what I'm seeing. And the reason I F these up from time after time is because I do something dumb like randomly sell because I have a little profit and then buy it back higher because it's still going and it's no signs of topping. And then it dumps in my face, so then I sell it back at a loss. And then by the time I make it to the top, I'm so messed up that I say, I'm never selling again because I'm so sick of this shit. And then it tops. And then I hold it through the whole thing. And that's not like something I did last month, but that's something consistently over the years that I've struggled with. So those are my final thoughts. I'm letting winners run this quarter.
What is Popsicle?
Well, we talked about it today. You kind of glazed over. I was telling you all about it.
It's a multi-chain, liquidity
LP optimizer.
Okay, all right. LP so Popsicle is the ICE.
Popsicle, yeah. Popsicle is the ICE one. So that's my coin. It's a Danny. Yeah, enough said. Yeah. But that's my final thoughts as far as like what I'm doing right now is if I'm in a winning bag, I am actually just going to let it run. It's a new quarter. It's kind of just beginning. Nice volume on some of these. And when it comes to Bitcoin, I am going to be a rotator into more and more Bitcoin, but not today, not here, not after this. There will be red candles. I'll pick those days.
Tom Walsh has been asking about ILV. Can you pull up the Binance chart on that? Because I want to see if
I was charting that today. It did break out. Actually, I think I had it over here already.
Goodness gracious! I'm looking at a wick there.
It's rather vertical.
Crazy.
Yeah, it broke. Somebody was in my
fat finger.
No.
What happened there? Holy shit!
It looks like a market buy gone terribly wrong.
Golly.
Let's look at the AMM. That's the chart I was looking at today. If it'll load.
Holy shit!
The jury's out.
Yeah, that looks like some sort of either. I mean,
they're not happy with their price.
Apish behavior, or just like a real fat finger ape.
Now, I was actually shilled on this pretty heavily today in my DMs by somebody from our Discord. Sorry, but I can't call your name out right now. I forget it offhand. But I was chatting with a guy this morning telling me all about how great ILV was. And I was just like, bro, I wish we had this conversation a month ago, 2 months ago. It's apparently super legit gaming play, though. And he showed me some of the samples of what they've got cooking. It looks really dope. Yeah, it's just a matter of like it's at all-time highs. It's just gone up, Oh, here we go. So this is the chart, right? Now, I first talked about it on stream around 298, and I picked some up, and then I sold some back, and then I got the rest of my bag out at 5, and I traded it, but like I didn't have that initial low buy bag, so I didn't feel like being a hodler. But this is a nice breakout. There's no two ways about it. And so if it comes back into this level, maybe I'm a trader again. Because when you get this, I mean, this happened to FTT, it happened to BNB before their massive runs, where it just kind of consolidated, flipped that level, and any tag of that level that would, like, it aged so beautifully. So can I be a buyer at 600? Possibly. Probably. Will I remember to? That is always the question.
Love the, I mean, gaming, look at, you can catch lightning in a bottle there. You really can. There's mechanics to play with blockchain gaming. I mean, look at Axes.
Axes is showing the world, how valuable, a user base can be when it's play to earn and good tokenomics. Yeah. And it's something that we've repeated multiple times here, which is that there's just going to be a ton of them. So, Axis in the summer, I said, don't worry about it. There's going to be 500 new play to earns that's coming out next year. And we're seeing it. And now I really like this Atlas chart. We get the big breakout on volume after like the sort of hype rally, drip down in here. We talk about this all the time, wait for the volume. And then now it's just sitting in the PCZ, kind of hovering around there, building up volume on the VPVR. So I love this, this kind of chart. That's all I'll say. I don't know about is this coin the one? I don't know. But I picked some up at like 9 cents, and I'm kind of thinking about adding at 10. Right in the bottom of this. We'll see. Okay, let's get back. Oh, we can't even go back to the studio because with the disconnects and all that, it's not set up. But
sorry, guys. Studio got hit by an earthquake.
We can go from here.
We're rebuilding. Don't worry.
Yeah, we got the construction team coming in tomorrow.
I think one of the interesting takeaways I get from today, apart from being super salty, I'm not in Messi's special Telegram room or group or whatever, was that the Ethereum, in his mind, the Ethereum store of value play creeping into his mind. I'm not going to sleep on that. I'm not going to sleep on it.
I've heard murmurs of such
Bottom
things.
line is that I think that's the strongest thing Ethereum has going for it right now. I think it's kind of getting its lunch eaten in DeFi by some of these up and comers. No one's really talking about DeFi right now. I think that's going to happen as like layer 2s continue to evolve and all that stuff. But in terms of just layer 1 blockchain stuff, I think the story for relative value is probably puts ETH in a position where it looks relatively expensive against some of these other up and comers. So I think it's got those headwinds, but there are two potential tailwinds. One being, they keep burning the hell out of Ethereum, and it starts to maybe compete on this store of value thing with proof of stake and with the burning and world supercomputer and store of value. And then also this idea of, if we get the futures backed ETF for Bitcoin, I think that follow-on play are people like me and they're thinking, well, that means that the futures based Ethereum ETF in the US is going to happen. So we could see ETH do some special stuff. I mean,
I think that chart is just bullish as fuck. Like,
it's really hard to argue with that.
Narratives aside, because you guys know I love a good narrative, but I mean, looking at that chart, like, that just looks fucking bullish. I think Ethereum's going to go to like $6,000.
Well, look at the W there. I mean, it looks like how the Bitcoin W looked 3 days ago. I mean, the Bitcoin looked like it could easily, you had that W structure and it looked like it could kind of stall out a little bit, pull back and go. And instead it just decided
I'm gonna preach the meme
it's
here,
sent.
Because Ethereum looks much more like this than Bitcoin even, but it looks a lot like a cup and shoulders, don't you think?
Got ourselves the old cup and shoulders here, buddy.
Got the cup and shoulders.
Gone over for a cup of tea. We'll go do some charts, eh?
This
is ETH.
Action. All right. I'm rotating.
This is ETH BTC. It is smacked into the reload zone actually as we were on stream today. It was not there at the start of the stream, so it is dipping right now as Bitcoin continues up. People are rotating out of Bitcoin and into it, or out of Ethereum and into their Bitcoin. And somebody in the chat says, where does this make sense to get bullish again? Look, we came up, we made bearish market structure here, then we made bullish market structure here. Now we're about to make some more bearish market structure. Nobody knows where this wants to go. I have a feeling that it's just going to make this big, fat
I think
triangle.
The same fucking thing. Big fat triangle, and then we see the Ethereum crazy send off.
2022, and that's if we just went with this crass triangle that I just drew in about 2 seconds, that'd be like March, February. And do we test this Livermore cylinder thing? That do we get into the high there? That would get pretty nasty.
I don't think so, because especially if Bitcoin is performing, even if Ethereum throws back to those levels, and it very well could. I think Ethereum largely mirrors Bitcoin's performance for Q4. Maybe a slight underperformance, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be anything significant. It's interesting to see though, when you look at Bitcoin and you're thinking about targets and all this kind of shit. Where is Bitcoin going? That's the $1 million question, right? Because I would imagine if we're going to go to 70K, we've got, it's not as centralized. We don't have that China centralization issue anymore. There's a lot of regulatory uncertainty that Bitcoin is not having to deal with. Where the fuck is this going to go? Especially in, like Rob was saying earlier, in a market climate, a global market climate that's very conducive to people finally saying, fuck, I capitulate. I have to take a look at this shit, and we're talking about real money here. Guys like Soros and look, guys like him are a dime a dozen, and best believe with guys like Soros looking into it, there's several others that you haven't heard about.
Yeah. They don't usually talk. It's kind of like Phil before shill, right? Look, just to wrap up then on that thought alone, I put this idea out on behalf of Hxro Labs on December 17th, 2020, when we broke to all-time highs. I said, it looks like we are beginning our next major cycle. Obviously, it was not a big, not a big thing to say, but I wanted to put this out there because you can do the play feature, and I thought it'd be cool to watch it develop. Let's see what it looks like now when we push play. I mean, it's moving, and that's a
bullish as fuck.
That's a $341,000 fib extension, which is just simply taking the low and the high of the last cycle and extending it. Do we end up there? Is 100K, I think, is way too low. If we're just going to blast and go from 65 to 100 and that's the top, that'd be really weird to me. But it's the big psychological number. Maybe it's our 10K. Maybe it's like 10K in 2017 where we just got rejected initially and then blasted through it. So I am of the mind we will go further than anyone right now expects. And
that's normally how it is. We're all going to be de-risked, and
I'll tell you what, I'm not putting a sell order. I'm not putting a sell order at 100K just blindly. Like that's, I just won't be personally. We'll see what we do when we get there, but I don't think that's going to be a positive EV play. I think that's
what is Bitcoin?
We're not going to get there, or we're going to get blasted. There's no way 100 is just like, I got out at 100 and it was the perfect top. Just 0% chance of that. So this is going to be fun. We're going to look back at this, once every couple months. It's a weekly, so maybe we'll check back in at Christmas. But if I was a betting man, I'd say it's going to be a little bit higher then. So it's been great, guys. Great to have you guys on. And if you guys haven't already and you stuck around, maybe you really did end up liking the stream despite some of those technical difficulties, hit us with a like.
Smash that like button.
Hit us with a sub, all the good stuff. I'll be back Friday, Hxro Labs Live. We'll be back next Wednesday, and you might get something in between. So throw on the bells, the notifications, just in case. And until next time, whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care.